So it certainly seems that redistricting is starting to make its way through. You've got what Texas did. You have Proposition 50 in California engaging in retribution. So North Carolina changed, and now Indiana with the special session being called. No guarantees yet. Governor Mike Braun of Indiana scheduled to be with us. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz today. It's the Oliva V. Milano, boo-boo. I've got them in the humidor. I'm enjoying them. It's going to be a good day. Gonna be a good day. So I'm glad you're here. Tell your friends. Tell them to join the live stream. First person to bring me ice cream, they win. Oh, just like ice cream. Let's go. Donald Trump in Asia. And if I listen to the sources, we're working on some deals. We've got some possible trade deals and a framework with China. I don't know how that's supposed to work. I don't know whether or not I believe it yet. Why would I believe anything having to do with China? We've been down this road before. But in all of these situations, in all of these places, I will continue to give the benefit of the doubt and hope things work out. Why wouldn't I? But if they don't, we're going to, we got to say so. We got to be people who say this isn't working. Tony Katz today. What are you doing, everybody? Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Streaming live at the YouTubes, youtube.com/Tony Katz. And of course, on the Twitter X, Tony Katz, Facebook, Tony Katz Radio. So the story is that they've worked out a framework. I got to admit, I'm not 100% sure what a framework is. I don't know how that differs from anything else that we've ever seen. In the end, does China buy American soybeans? And I didn't just bring something up for the sake of bringing it up. Soybeans being unbelievably important to American farmers, soybeans and really byproducts utilized by the hog industry in China, which feeds their people. I mean, this is big stuff. And they've been working on soybeans in South America and other places and putting in rail to be able to maneuver the stuff so they didn't have to have a reliance on the United States. So there's a lot here. There's a lot here in a conversation regarding what can be seen as a level of agreement.
Please.
Thank you, Martha. Good to be with you. So this was the fifth meeting that I've had with my Chinese counterpart, the Vice Premier, Hu Lifeng, and we covered a wide range of issues, and I think we've reached a substantial framework for the two leaders who will meet in Korea next Thursday. So, on the table, the president had given me maximum leverage when he threatened 100% tariffs if the Chinese imposed their rare earth global export controls. So I think we have averted that so that the tariffs will be averted. And we have a regular quarterly meeting with the Chinese. It was scheduled for November 10th or before November 10th. I don't think we will have to have that. So we have been rolling the tariffs quarterly. So we agreed on that. We also agreed on substantial agriculture purchases for U.S. farmers. We agreed that the Chinese would begin to help us with the precursor chemicals for this terrible fentanyl epidemic that's ravaging our country. So I would say that it was a very good.
Unless you're going to get the Chinese to say we'll no longer take cartel money for fentanyl or fentanyl related pharmaceuticals, well, I don't think we've got anything there. But what else is he gonna say? When you're dealing with an adversary like China, who they need our markets, we want their productivity. It's hard. It's difficult. But trust, no, thank you, Secretary Bessent. I have no trust in the Chinese, and I think you were a fool if you did. Now, Bessent, while he was there, he did Martha Stewart's show on ABC, and with NBC, it got into a really interesting conversation about the shutdown.
I let you go. We're now in the second longest shutdown in U.S. history. When will President Trump meet with Democrats to try to bring this shutdown to a close and get federal workers their paychecks back again, Mr. Secretary?
Well, Kristen, I'm going to have to reject the premise of your question. Why does President Trump have to meet with Democrats? Democrats just need to go into the Senate and vote to end the shutdown.
But President Trump has said in the past it's up to the president. 52. He's the president. No. He said that in the past. He said you have to be a leader. The president has to lead. You have to get people into a room. You have to get a deal. When's he going to do that?
Well, he is leading, and there's no deal to do with Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is trading off his polls. What's different than when he passed a clean CR in the spring? It's his polls. You know, the whole country's being held captive to AOC's polls.
That is correct. Now, Bessent's good. Bessent is able to push back, and the first argument is the profound one. Why does the president have to meet with these people? And we keep discussing it as we're on day 27 of the shutdown. They don't mean have a discussion. When Democrats say we'll meet with anyone, anywhere, anytime, who cares? You want to extend the Obamacare subsidies. The subsidies, you were okay with them sunsetting at the end of 2025, and you're blaming it on Republicans. Why should Trump give you this? He's going to take it anyway. That's what you're fighting. I can't believe no one's talking about this. I'm off base. No. I think I got it cold, kitten. Trump wants to extend them. He will extend them. He's not going to agree with me. He's a populist. He's going to extend them. And then he gets to take credit for it. So Bessent was dealing with a bunch of things. But back to this, this conversation about trade. The trip to Asia so far has been productive. Rare earth minerals treaty with Malaysia, peace deal between Cambodia and Thailand. These are good things. It is today with Sanae Takachi, who is the now Prime Minister of Japan. President Trump met with the Emperor earlier today. Right? Remember, they're very, very far ahead of us when it comes to the clock. That's Emperor Naruhito. But it is the meeting with the Prime Minister that I think is very important, and possibly more important than the conversation with Xi, which of course is the granddaddy. But the reason I think it matters is twofold. First, what's interesting about Takaichi is that she is considered, I think, a little Western looking. She sees Margaret Thatcher as a role model. And one of the things that you just saw from her is that there is a plan now being floated by the Japanese to purchase a fleet of Ford F-150s. And if anything is going to get Trump's attention, it's, hey, I start by buying 500, 600, 200, 800, whatever it is, American pickup trucks. To which when Trump was told this, he's like, hey, she's got good taste. That's a hot truck. Which it is, in full disclosure. I drive the F-150. I drive the Lightning. I have a Ford sponsorship locally through a group called Andy Moore Ford. Fantastic people. And I like everybody knowing where I'm at all times. But it is with Japan, and possibly a more focused Japan, that one may be able to engage better pressures against China. So first of all, there's the desire for Chinese hegemony, ruling the area there of the Pacific Rim. If you're going to rule the Pacific Rim, of course, that means shipping, which is a massive problem. A stronger Japan might mean better opportunities to keep Taiwan independent and certainly strengthen bonds to help Taiwanese independence, or at least repelling the concept of absorption by mainland China. These things are real important to American strength, because if you can curtail Chinese growth, you are better off by multitudes. So the question is, what is the possibility for Japan? How does that possibility play with a South Korea that still deals with the North Korean threat, and how they work and how they align? I'm not so sure that South Korea is interested in playing any level of second fiddle. But South Korea has its own serious leadership issues. So keep an eye on this conversation with Japan, with this new leadership, and how that plays out, how that creates a really interesting kind of look into where the relations are and what the future is. It should be noted that Takaichi, a protege of Shinzo Abe, the former prime minister, the late prime minister, and a supporter of and a friend of Donald Trump in his first term. This, as a pressure point to China, is a big one. As for the trade deal, never forget that China needs us too. I would love to see the communist regime vanquished. I would love to see Xi Jinping fail, whether that's in the hands of his people or not. I'll leave that kind of, twisted fairy tale to others. I'd like to see China not be a communist nation. We'd all be better off. But any trade deal must come with the caveat that there is no trusting the Chinese regime. And so when Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, says there's a framework, I say, lovely, fantastic, terrific. Trust it? Nope. Not at all. I don't trust the framework, and I don't trust China. Thus, I pay attention to what's happening with Japan, because that may help push China into places they don't necessarily want to go. It also might upset China and make them much more active, but I think they're going to be much more active anyway. The trip continues for President Trump. We'll be following it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back. Sorry, I was typing. Tony Katz today. I've decided to go with the blues and the purples behind me. I don't know if I'm right. That's what I'm going with. I'm going with what would be fancy bordello? You know what a bordello is there, producer Landon? Do you know what a whorehouse is? Yeah, bordello is a fancy term for that. You're welcome. I'm trying to teach people. Should I have just said house of ill repute? Would you have known what that was, producer Landon? Would you have known what it was? Oh, sounds more fancy. I would have known what it was. Sorry, just returning an email. All right, coming back to the show. Oh, so much talk about redistricting. Governor Mike Braun scheduled to be with us at 1:45. So looking forward to that. We will discuss. Oh, all right, I'll do it. I'm going to talk about this dang ballroom one more dang time. We're all crazy. You know what? Not we. We are fine. They need medication. I think that's where we're at. I do have a bunch of ridiculousness to share with you because people are still complaining about this ballroom. It's any Democrat who thinks that the ballroom is going to get them votes is out of their heads. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. This is not a story. This is the left just screaming at the clouds, yelling, "Get off my lawn." You're all so boring. But it leads to the first great story of the day, which is Representative Eric Swalwell, the guy who was with the Chinese spy, Fang Fang. See, where I differ from my contemporaries is that people say he had sex with the Chinese spy, and I say there was no way he was man enough to have sex with the Chinese spy. I'm telling you right now, Fang Fang was not the spy who shagged me. Fang Fang was the spy who tried to shag him, but he just wasn't up for it. What? They make medicine. Don't be embarrassed. Go get the meds. It works. I'm just saying, why live unhappy? There's a med that can help. Go and enjoy. Be fruitful and multiply. Eric Swalwell puts out on Twitter X, because he is completely obsessed with this event center ballroom thing that Trump is building. Quote, don't even think of seeking, he writes. Don't even think of seeking the Democratic nomination for president unless you pledge to take a wrecking ball to the Trump ballroom on day one. I cannot describe to you in words how dopey that is. So instead, I will not use words. It's embarrassing. It is absolutely embarrassing that someone could make this, I don't know, a position to which they should really lean on. This is going to be the new litmus test. Where are you on a $250 million renovation project that the American people didn't have to pay for? Well, wherever you are, kitten, if you want to make this your story, you're more than welcome to. But no one is paying attention. This isn't moving the electorate at all. You will not gain another vote. But he's not alone in a level of absolute ignorance. There is a headline over at NBC. Let me see if I can actually find the headline for you, because the headline reads, measles spreading beyond the center of the Utah-Arizona outbreak. Well, that certainly is enough to frighten. If we're seeing measles growing, that's a real serious issue. And yeah, they've got a couple stories. These counties, Utah-Arizona border, are seeing a surge. Hundreds in schools are now quarantining. So how do the schools stay open? There's a lot of conversation here. Ed Markey, the senator from Massachusetts, writes, measles was declared eliminated in the United States in 2000. RFK Jr. must resign. Now, should we have a conversation about all the illegal immigration that Joe Biden allowed in just his 4 years? And note how people coming from countries that don't have the sanitary conditions that we do, don't have the medical conditions that we do, how that could lead to a growth of diseases we considered eradicated in the United States, a first world nation? Because I think we should. And it's very clear that Ed Markey, if he had any honesty or decency in his soul, he would do the same. But now instead, hey, let's take the cheap shot. That's all we are, kids. Nothing but 24/7 cheap shots. How can we go about attacking our political enemies? How can we go about beating up our political enemies? How can we go about hurting our political enemies? That's it. That's all we do. No conversation about honesty, no conversation about decency, no conversation about facts. Just, hey, look, something happened. It must be Trump's fault. I want these people who do this, especially elected officials, I want them to suffer at the ballot box for it. It won't happen in Massachusetts. No honesty. Just, oh yeah, it must be Trump. Oh, RFK, he's not qualified. Honesty would require us noting who we've let into the country and what they could have brought with them. This is Tony Katz Today. Oh, sorry. I'm talking to myself. Yeah, I was talking to myself. I was trying to get the name of an MSNBC anchor, and I yeah, this is going to take me forever to go through. I won't do it now. Couldn't remember the name. Could not remember. It's driving me crazy. Driving me nuts. Anyway, let's get back to you guys. Look at the comments. The audio is fixed. Thank you. Thank you very much. What the heck is a blue chew there, Producer Landon? I apologize for asking. Well, it's not about being even, producer Landon. It's about you holding a standard and me saying whatever I choose. That is it. Yes. I was told, Freddie, I was told it was a sex pill. I did say they make medicine for that stuff. I said it. They do make medicine for that. We should not be opposed to medicine. Makes no sense to be opposed to medicine. Okay, I've got that. Boom. There's that. What else, guys? What else should we be chatting about? I've got a bunch. Just writing on the whiteboard. All right. I think I got it now. I vacuum every day. That's what that is. And that's my point, Eddie. That to scream it's Trump is and to scream that it's RFK, it's nonsense. It doesn't take you anywhere. It doesn't mean anything. It's what you do. It's what you say when you have nothing else. You're just about let me hit somebody. And then run. It's valueless. Absolutely valueless. Join me as I'm on Newsmax, scheduled for 3:15 Eastern Time. Looking forward to it. And then, of course, I'll get the videos out for everybody to see. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. It wasn't widespread famine. It was widespread lies. And the people who repeat those lies are the same cheap people unwilling to honestly address the situation. Hamas is a terrorist organization. You have plenty of Palestinians supporting them. And you had the like-minded fellow travelers, useful idiots in the United States who believe in the destruction of Western civilization. There's a story in the New York Post about Hamas terrorists at a 5-star hotel in Egypt. The Renaissance Cairo Mirage City Hotel, which is the finest hotel in Cairo I've never been to. And as you saw all these terrorist prisoners released from Israel, Palestinians who were engaged in attacks got released. Hundreds of them. They're violent terrorists and they got released. It wasn't a hostage swap. You would have to be comic Dave Smith inept to call it a hostage swap. And it's just false. He made that up. He's lying. That's all there is to it. We're not going to agree to disagree. It's a flat out lie. It wasn't a hostage swap. The Palestinians, Hamas, they held hostages. Israelis were dealing with terrorists trying to kill them. There's a difference. I don't care if anybody likes the honesty. It's just important to be honest. And after they got released, what do they get? Parties. They get parties. They're sipping cappuccinos. They're eating. They're enjoying the world-class amenities. The question, of course, is who paid for that? That somebody who spent X number of years, whether it's 2 years or 20 years in prison, and with this the prisoner release, indeed, there are people who were in Israeli prisons for 20 years because they're terrorists. That's where they belong. If someone's a terrorist in the United States, jail for forever. We're not, lying to each other. We're not going to pretend. Jail for forever. That's what would happen. If they lived through the firefight, jail for forever. If you told me that somebody was released from prison, no matter how disgusting they are, and they were seen out to dinner with whatever like-minded friends or whatever family and eating this, that, and the other, oh, okay. You could see it. You'd think it was gross, but you could see it. 5-star resort, who paid for that? Who paid for that? That's the question. And the answer is, well, it must have been Hamas. Hamas has the money to feed all of these people, all of these prisoners, and make sure they have bubble baths and slippers. Lord only knows they all went home with a robe. And I'm to believe that somehow there was a widespread famine? As we see more and more the photos out of Gaza, the restaurants are open and they're packed. People there's food and everything is going mostly swimmingly. Could you find pockets? Could you find people? Of course, I would never leave that out of any reality, including ours right here in the United States. But the idea that it was a genocide and lie. It was a lie. Where's been that conversation for the past week? Lie. People like Mehdi Hassan, desperate to keep that going, but it isn't going because it was never real. Now that the claim has lost its usefulness, no one's making that claim. They never believed in the claim to begin with. And the money was there, the opportunity was there to take care of anybody in Gaza. And Hamas said, you know what would be better to do? It'd be better for us if we didn't. It'd be better for us if what we did was allowed people to suffer, because it would better move our message. Isn't that exactly like Hamas? Isn't that exactly what they do? Now, allow me to make a connective point here about people who are okay, very fine with pain in order to get their political objective. Day 27 of the shutdown. This was Speaker Mike Johnson today, Republican, Louisiana, Speaker of the House, talking about the shutdown and Democrats.
Now, the third point is very important because they've been trying to confuse the American people. They've tried to say this is a fight about health care or this or that or any other thing, and it's very simple. They put this on paper. They made this their demand in writing in the record of the Senate, and it has not changed. These are just 4 subpoints there under fact number 3, but there's many more. But among the things they're demanding, this is what the Democrats in the Senate are demanding to reopen the government. They want to give $200 billion in health benefits to illegal aliens and non-citizens, paid for by U.S. taxpayers. That is in their proposal. They want billions in wasteful programs to be returned to foreign countries. So we stop these things. They want to turn it all back on. They're demanding that we do all that to get the government open for hardworking Americans again. They want to give $500 million to left-leaning news organizations, and they want to cut $50 billion from rural hospitals. We will not do those things. And they know that very well. Which leads us to point number 4. The Democrats have now openly admitted, and you all had to cover it last week, that they're using the pain of the American people as their leverage. That was the number 2 ranked Democrat in the House, the Democrat, the minority whip, who said that, acknowledged it in an interview, that this is leverage. And Chuck Schumer himself boasted that every day of the shutdown gets better for us. That's his now infamous quote that he wishes he had not said out loud. But you know what they're doing and why. Why are they demanding these things? Why is point number 3 so essential to them? Why would they do this? Because it's unprecedented, as we've noticed, and reminded you all, they voted for CRs every time it was possible in their lives, as recently as March of this year. But they're doing it to appease their far-left Marxist base. That's the headline. That's why. That's why we're all in this mess. That's why the American people are suffering pain, because the Democrats are more afraid of the Marxist in their base than they are of hardworking Americans. See, they've made an evaluation that they have to appease the Marxist base, that they're so concerned that they'll lose their jobs if they don't appease the far left in their party. And they sat in a back room and they made the calculation that they would rather shut the government down and impose all this pain on the American people because they believe the Marxists, the far left in the base, are more active than hardworking Americans, people who go vote. And so they made the calculation that it's worth it to them. Every day gets better for us. We'll use the pain as leverage. For what? To prove to the far left base that they won't give in, that they'll fight Trump and fight the Republicans. What are they fighting? It's a clean CR. It's the same level of funding that they have voted for as recently as earlier this year. They are Biden-level policies and spending. This is not some Republican wish list. We don't have any of our priorities in this at all. It's the Democrats' own product. But they have decided to flip the script this time because they were getting too much heat from the far left. The facts are so simple.
He's 1,000% correct. Inflict the pain and then blame other people for what it is you're doing. Same mathematics. Same exact mathematics as we were just discussing regarding Gaza. Spread the lie, hope it sticks, damage your political opponents, see if they'll give in. And we've got a lot of people who are very willing to believe in some lies, buy into some nonsense. And it becomes harder and harder for us. I was part of a panel a couple weeks ago with Glenn Beck and some others. And the question was asked, is it easier or is it harder to connect with your audience these days? Right? That's a paraphrase of the question. And so I'm not 100% sure about what could get meant by connect, but I do know that the bar for believability is at a height that is near unobtainable. The immediate reaction from all of us is to not trust the thing that we heard, and certainly never to trust it from people we disagree with. Now, there's a little bit of that is healthy. We would call it healthy skepticism, is what we would call it, right? We would call that a very healthy skepticism, and it's check, double check, and recheck. It's Ronald Reagan, trust but verify. None of that is actually new. But it used to be that the institutions are things we had faith in, and what the institutions have done is they have given up their faith in us, so we've given up our faith in them. And that's what happened. The institutions were run by elites. The institutions then said, we hate the people we're providing the information to. And the hate became so great that the people said, hey, why don't you screw off? And now we don't trust you. CDC don't trust you. IRS don't trust you. And cable news absolutely don't trust you. We don't trust. So if you're sitting on this side of the microphone, like anybody, how do you then gain trust of your audience? Because you're always trying to be honest, or at least you should be. But the bar is extremely high, and you're aiming for this. Because it used to be there was a basic amount of faith, and then it was here, okay? And if you made a mistake, all right, it wasn't the end of the world, you could correct it, etc. Or sometimes you can just get something wrong. Now that is something that has very little bit of forgiveness. But if we talk about people who are ideological and involved in their confirmation bias, Anything their side says is fine. Anything the other side says is a lie. These people told us widespread famine and a genocide by Israel. Yet when prisoner terrorists are released from Israeli prisons, they're treated to cappuccinos at five-star hotels. Where'd the money come from? It was all famine and destruction 2 months ago, and now you can afford a latte and a terry cloth robe? Now you've got spa sessions? Anybody who believes the Gaza Health Ministry or anything Hamas says wants you to suffer. They want Western civilization to fail. They'll believe any lie, even when shown that they're lies. There is no doubt. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. And we're back. See, I keep forgetting we're back. I'm working. I apologize, guys. How are you? Tony Katz. Tony Katz Today. Good to be with you. I'm planning some stuff for tomorrow. There is madness afoot. Seriously, nutty stuff is at play. I have, let's see. So we have Governor Braun. He's scheduled for 1:45. I got to do the Venezuela story. I'm going to move this over to here. I will do this, and I will do that. I got to tell you, there's a lot. There's a lot going on. What story should I be talking about? I can't be good. Then seriously, someone put out a hit on the Attorney General? Oh, sure. That sounds normal. Fantastic. I'll get to that story in just a few minutes, and of course, I want to see your comments and your thoughts. I will just finish this up, and then I will get back to it. By the way, yes, I'm looking for a director, someone who will just run the technical while I'm doing the show. Do you have to have experience? It'd be nice. It'd be nice. But yeah, I'm looking. No, Sarah, it's not you. You've got plenty of work to do. Coming back in 5 minutes. 5 seconds, I mean, yes. So as producer Landon is looking around, keeping his eye on the news, a 29-year-old has been arrested for an alleged $45,000 hit on Attorney General Pam Bondi. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. If you believe that the temperature will be lessened, allow me to prove to you not. And let me share with you, this goes along with something you'll see in the show. I have it in the show sheet, right? Or did I have this separate? That the left is still looking. No, I put this out on social media. The left is still absolutely looking for a lone wolf. You saw this in a post from Gavin Newsom talking about the ballroom. Again, the insanity of the ballroom is insane. Gavin Newsom, this wasn't about the ballroom. This is about when Trump got off the plane in Malaysia and the people there are greeting him and there's some dancing and he's dancing with them and he's doing the Trump dance thing. Gavin Newsom shared that and shared a story about how SNAP is going to lose funding, right? Food stamps, if you will. And he wrote, Donald Trump is literally dancing in Asia while 40 million people lose access to food. Disgusting. So first, 40 million people losing access to food is because we don't have a continuing resolution and we don't have funding going to the places it needs to go. If the Democrats would simply fund the government, you wouldn't have this issue. But of course, you got to put it all on Trump and not on the Democratic Party and demanding that they do their job and negotiate in good faith. But saying that 40 million people are going to lose access to food while Trump doesn't care is the call for the lone wolf. He knows exactly what he's saying here. The left is still looking for lone wolves to finish the job, and violent Gavin Newsom is just one of many looking for candidates. That's what's happening there. So is it in any way surprising that this guy who calls himself an anarchist put a hit out on the Attorney General? He was arrested on October 16th, a tipster alerting the FBI to the alleged murder-for-hire plot. This guy blasted it out on social media. It literally says, wanted, Pam Bondi, reward $45,000, dead or alive, preferably dead. This will not end soon. The only way out is through. These people cannot get power. They have to lose elections, and we have to raise our kids right. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. Absolutely nothing. These people are who they are. Now, you'll forgive me, one of the things I'm following as I'm doing the show is following this story about redistricting in Indiana. And first of all, it's my lighter. This is, no, settle down. This is the SpaceX lighter, right? And so when it lights, it's very cool. This is going to be a major deal. Indiana is going to be a ground zero conversation. What is fascinating is the amount of people who got the story all sorts of wrong because they listened to a statement from the Indiana Senate Republicans. We don't have the votes. It came out today again. We still don't have the votes. And they say, oh, they don't have the votes. They don't want this. You see, they're not interested in redistricting. That's not what happened. That was what they told themselves to push a story. If I'm the Republican Party, or I'm a spokesperson of the Republican Party, leadership of the Republican Party, and I want to get redistricting done, and there are some people on the fence, you know what I do? I publicly say we don't have the votes to provide the pressure campaign to get the votes. Did I say anything you didn't know would happen? Of course not. That's what I think happened here. So now there are people who are like, I'm not in favor of this. Like, all right, now I'll do a listening session. So there is a state senator who's going to do a listening session a couple hours away over the weekend in Terre Haute, place in Indiana. And so now it's like, okay, if that's what's happening, if this guy's going to do a listening session, I guess I'm going to Terre Haute. Got to take a trip. So I told the guys to get the cigar van together. We're gonna head down. So everyone's got Saturday's now a busy day. We got a lot to do. We're going to take the quick break, right? The radio show is in break, so we'll take the quick break here. So hang loose. Smoke them if you got them. We will get back to the ballroom madness, the insanity of Kamala Harris, whether or not we're at war with Venezuela, and the argument that the Senate has, or I should say Congress has, that's legit. Even if President Trump doesn't like it. I've got that story as well. Oh, and General Motors is nuts. That's all coming up. Guys, hang loose. Keep it here. We'll be back in a bit. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Find everything I do over at TonyKatz.com. Posting the show sheet right now. It didn't really post right the first time around. So you go to TonyKatz.com. Everything that I'm talking about, I do a show sheet every day. It's been kind of my system now for years. So I share it with you guys. News that I think is important, that I think is valuable, that I think is going to matter in today and, well, really every day. So I share that as often as I can. Well, I share it every day, is what I do. And then I'll put in some of our sponsor information there, like DefianceBeef.com. I marinated the sirloin yesterday. Olive oil, soy sauce, Worcestershire, garlic powder, parsley, and basil. Then grilled. Sirloin is great to marinate. You really do want to break it down. It's not the same as doing a strip or a ribeye, right? Salt, pepper, and on. You really want to break that down. It's a little bit tougher, but there's great flavor in there, and it was perfect. It was spectacular. It was me and the youngest and my wife. We're watching the Colts, and we're eating steak, and there's sweet potatoes, and we roasted some peppers, and I was like, this is not so bad. It was a good time. So I get it from DefianceBeef.com. Use promo code EatDrinkSmoke and get $150 off your order. That's all you got to do. So easy. So easy to do. All right, we're coming back to the radio show. I'm just finishing this up. I'm glad you guys are here. The president has to accept the fact, and I know this is going to upset some, but it is what it is, that if you're going to keep taking out these Venezuelan drug boats, if you're going to keep saying that Venezuela, led by Nicolas Maduro, is a narco-terrorist group, well, then you're going to have to explain to Congress why you haven't declared war. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. And if you're going to tell Congress, listen, I am going to keep killing these people. These are drug boats. They're bringing drugs into the United States, and we have to stop them, because every time we stop one, that is like us saving 25,000 American lives. I'm not saying no. My issue with taking out these drug boats is very, very, very limited. I have no problem with it whatsoever. The issue at play here is whether or not we are now engaged in an act of war against Venezuela. And for the president, I would only say this: do not make the almost insane assumption that Congress is going to so easily abdicate this responsibility. The conversation was, when President Trump took office in the second term, got to get everybody he wants approved, all his cabinet officials approved. And senators were like, no, I'm going to do my advice and consent role. I've got a thing I can do here. It's part of being a senator, and I'm going to do it. And I'm here for 6 years. Trump's only here for 4. I'm going to do it. And I think MAGAville was shocked to learn that senators have absolutely giant egos, and they were not so willing to give up that authority. I believe the same situation applies here. Now, I have no issue with the president saying that boat was a threat, and based on our intelligence, we took we engaged in tactics. We took steps to neutralize the threat. Don't have an issue with that. I think the president can do that. I think that's fine. But on the repeated, you're making a statement. And this is what Senator Rand Paul has been getting at. Again, I don't mind the taking out of the boats, but he was arguing a conversation of due process. Well, no. That's not, I think, a conversation that has practicality. Oh my gosh, Trump is taking out fishing boats. Barack Obama droned Americans. I know, it's whataboutism. Let's stay on the subject, Tony. Fine, I'm more than happy to. A repeated action against an adversary could be seen as a war action. And it is absolutely rational that members of Congress say, if we're at war, you need to come with us. You need to come to us, and you need us to make this okay. Because you, the president, the commander-in-chief, don't declare war. We do. And it seems like you're engaging in a war with Venezuela. We sent the USS Gerald Ford down to the Caribbean. It's the largest aircraft carrier that we've got. We've got the Nimitz coming out of the Middle East, South China Sea, and making its way back to port in Washington State. The Nimitz had its own problem where you had both an F-18 Hornet, I think it's a Hornet, and a helicopter. Within 30 minutes of each other crashed. All the crew was recovered. It's a real issue. Why that happened. Sometimes you'll see a story that a plane crashed into the ocean because it was trying to land on the aircraft carrier and it missed the cables, right? It hooks onto the cables and that's what stops it. Landing a plane on a boat while both are moving is not easy. It's not easy stuff to do. And it's possible that you'll lose a plane. Luckily, didn't lose the pilot, just lost the plane. But this stuff does cost money. It does take time to rebuild. But the movement of the aircraft carrier is what? Right? Sometimes you move for strategic advantage. I do not know what this one is other than to continue to put pressure on Maduro. I'm fine with pressure on Maduro if that's what we're doing. But when you're talking about taking out the drug boats, as you are, you're saying something else. And I don't think President Trump should be surprised that people would be saying, both Democrats and Republicans, we're the ones who make this call. I'm never shocked when elected officials are saying this is our purview and we are not going to have it taken from us. Meanwhile, we brought up earlier this murder for hire plot. Some anarchist offering up $45,000 for a hit to try and kill the Attorney General Pam Bondi. Well, Pam Bondi is now speaking out at the White House.
Attorney General Pam Bondi in an alleged murder for hire post on TikTok. The post appears to place a $45,000 bounty on the nation's top law enforcement official. MSNBC's Akayla Gardner is reporting from the White House for us. Akayla, what more do we know about it?
Yeah, we're learning today that a 29-year-old man was arrested for what law enforcement is describing as a murder for hire plot against the Attorney General. Court documents show the 29-year-old was arrested on October 16th after someone tipped off the FBI about this TikTok post that he made threatening the Attorney General. Again, this is being described as a murder for hire plot on social media this month. According to an affidavit, the TikTok user reported the threat as a murder for hire against the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. The user made other threatening posts and called for a hit for $45,000 on their personal TikTok account. The FBI traced the account back to a man named Tyler Maxon Avalos, a 39-year-old living in St. Paul, Minnesota. That's what they said in the affidavit, and the Bureau alleges that the account continues to have ties to anarchy, and they're continuing to investigate this. So we'll be close.
I want to see the ties to Antifa. Now, forgive me, I thought that was Pam Bondi who was going to be speaking there. So that was just the news report. I'm good on MSNBC for actually reporting it. The continued push, the continued desire, oh, someone I disagree with, they must be destroyed. Well, Tony, this was an anarchist. And you can tell, no. It's all the same story. It comes from the delusion that because I disagree with somebody, I can harm that person. I disagree with someone, so they deserve to be harmed. They deserve to be shut down. They deserve to be silenced, or they deserve to be killed like Charlie Kirk. And I've described that the only way out is through. And I've described that we have time and again these Democrats who keep pushing this idea that everybody you disagree with is a threat. And everything is a threat. And everything is a threat to democracy. And one of the things that the left has been talking about as a threat to democracy is this stupid ballroom. There is no story more unbelievably daft. The East Wing has come down, and now you've got the rebuilding of what's going to be like this event center. He's calling it a ballroom. It's going to be a massive space because when they do events, they do tents on the lawn. And maybe you shouldn't. The Washington Post, the New York Times have both put out op-eds saying, you know what? Maybe everybody should calm down. This isn't the biggest deal in the world. It doesn't matter. You know what? It's going to be fine. This isn't a big story. This isn't a major issue. Maybe everybody doesn't have to be crazy. Correct. Accurate. They made it up. They made the how else can we create more anger? How else can we create more hatred? How else can we create more violence? Oh, I know. Trump's destroying the White House for his own personal needs. Somebody has to do something about this. I wonder who out there will do it. That's what they're asking for. You disagree with someone, you disagree with them. You don't get to kill them over disagreement. You don't get to kill them because you have a political difference. No, you do not. This whole concept, what they call Trump derangement syndrome, is very, very real. Which brings us to a story about CNN. And the story is that the CEO of CNN, Mark Thompson, who hired somebody else for that midnight slot. You know, the slot Jim Acosta wouldn't take midnight to 2 a.m. because he was too good for that. And I said, I'll take that slot right now for half the money. Midnight to 2 a.m. Eastern, I will do that right now. I will get better ratings than Jim Acosta at daytime in 6 months. I'll have better ratings or you don't have to pay me. No, maybe I took the money. You still have to pay me, but I'd still have better ratings. You could fire me in 6 months. Give me 6 months. I'll get better ratings than Jim Acosta. Well, they went with somebody else, and I think that was a shame. It's not that I ever spoke to anybody or was ever in the running. But the CEO, Mark Thompson, allegedly went to the White House. That's the story. He goes to the White House, and he's talking about the new streaming service that CNN is going to be putting into the world. And after that meeting, he said to CNN, hey, maybe like woe up on the whole East Room demolition and rebuilding thing. And people are like, oh my gosh, Trump got to CNN. Oh my gosh. Maybe CNN kind of figured out that this isn't a news story. This is pablum. This is the work of children complaining about a ballroom. Someone just put out to me on Twitter. They're blaming us for the shutdown. Whine about the ballroom, right? Try and change the subject. But in every single situation, now you can't have your boss say, okay, guys, we've covered this. It's not really a news story. It's not really interesting. It doesn't move America. It doesn't matter to America. America doesn't care. Let's cover something else, please. Let's cover something else. No, we can't. It has to be more fomenting anger, more fomenting violence, more foaming at the mouth altogether. That's what they got. And that's what they're doing. I cannot believe we're still talking about the dumb ballroom. America doesn't care. So, I mean, I bring it up because these new things are happening, but in the end, I got to let it go. If we don't care, we don't care. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you find it interesting in that they're all so wrapped up about it. It's funny. But it does tell the story that any way they can try and develop anger against Trump, they'll do it. This is the only thing they have to run on. Not a single policy at all. At all. Speaking of running, that story is up next. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back. Tony Katz Today. Guys, an absolute pleasure as always. I have the Indiana Governor Mike Braun coming up in a little bit as this redistricting stuff becomes more and more front and center. I have got that story. We'll just do that right there. And then we'll do this and boom, boom. Just that easy. So we'll get into that. A report that Barry Weiss over at CBS wants Scott Jennings and Brett Baer on her team. But Jennings is not a news guy, just commentator. All right. So we will get into that. Got it. Oh, Lord. Sometimes there is so much happening. You don't know if you're covering everything the way that you should. Am I covering things that people don't have an interest in? But no, I mean, there's more than one story out there. I think I sometimes am covering things that other people aren't covering. I think that much is very, very true, but I can live with that. What is the big dance, Pete? Can you get invited to the big dance when it opens? You mean, at the new ballroom? I don't know. And while there may be plenty of ballrooms in D.C., they're not necessarily at the White House. Think of it as an entertaining space or an event space. They do things at the White House. I don't think this is outside the realm. Is it going to be ostentatious? Well, it is Trump. And someone else will come in and they'll redesign. Happens all the time. General Motors is out of their minds. I don't understand the mathematics. I don't understand the desire. General Motors, first of all, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. It's good to be with you. How you doing? How's your mother? Everything good? Fine? Great. That's what I like to hear. You can find me on the Twitter X at Tony Katz, Instagram Tony Katz, Facebook Tony Katz Radio. General Motors is going to eliminate Apple CarPlay and Android Auto from future vehicles. I don't know what they're thinking. And I don't know why they're thinking this. They are going to have their own interface. They say, according to Mary Barra, who is the CEO of General Motors, it will allow for a smoother, safer, more unified user experience. She said the timing is unclear, but they pointed to a major rollout of what the company is calling a new centralized computing platform set to launch in 2028. It will involve eventually transitioning the entire lineup to a unified in-car experience. Now, the question before us will be, what will I have to pay to get this user experience? Do we think that this is just going to, it comes with the car. Well, it comes with the car, but there are only like 3 programs that come with the car. If you want the full suite of programs, it's this much a month. We're getting to the place where you no longer own what you own. That somehow the technology of the engine doesn't belong to you. That it's the idea that they have the right to throw on extra charges anytime you want. If you want things like horsepower, if I buy the car, can't I do things to the engine? Well, no, that's our proprietary. And it's proprietary. You can't change that. You can't do that. We can only charge you. You can pay for it. It's a bad place to be. It's a very, very, very bad place to be. That because you're creating a conversation about being adversarial with your consumer. No, we don't provide you the ease of use. You have to do it our way. People use an iPhone. They use Android, and so they want to just be able to keep using the interface they know. They don't want to learn a whole new thing. They don't want any part of it. I think it's a very bad play from General Motors. Outrageously bad play. Meanwhile, as that happens, President Trump is raising tariffs on Canada by 10%. This because of that Ronald Reagan ad. Ontario put this out, utilizing the voice of Ronald Reagan and in a conversation about tariffs, but not a complete conversation about tariffs, say tariffs don't work and tariffs are bad. And they're showing American flags and kids playing baseball and the whole thing. And it's meant to go directly at the tariffs that Trump has implemented. I thought things were getting better with Canada. Obviously not. Now there's another 10%. I don't know why Ontario did it. It seems very, very silly, foolhardy at best, and meant to cause pain at worst. And it seems very obvious that the objective Ontario had there was, how can we punch Trump and not get any benefit out of it? Because it's not going to move American sentiment. Because American sentiment on tariffs is only this costing us more, but yet somehow we are told everything is better, and people kind of believe it. Swing and a miss. GM and Canada, strike two. This is Tony Katz today. All right. Let's see where we're at. Let's see what we've got going on right here. Oh, did you see this? Did you see this from Gavin Newsom? Ho, 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 ho. Oh, Gavin. So Mike Braun calls for the special session in Indiana. And what does Gavin Newsom write? Looks like Governor Braun needs some knee pads. Okay. Okay. I was thinking of 5 responses and decided to give none of them. So, with that, we have Governor Braun scheduled to be with us in a little bit. All right. All right, all right, all right, all right. We will get to it. Did Toyota? I didn't know Toyota did that. So according to Car Guy, after 12 months, you have to pay a subscription fee to use their live maps, traffic, and remote start and lock unlock. How do people not get disgusted with that? Wait, stop. You need a subscription to use Blue Cruise, which is their quasi hands-free stuff. I didn't know. This is all nutty. That is ridiculous. I can't imagine that people are happy with this. Can't imagine at all. Let me get back to this. 30 seconds. I am not saying that Kamala Harris does drugs. I am saying that I would have no idea, and I do not believe it for a second. But when she states that she isn't done with public life and hinting at a run for 2028, I assume that the former vice president is on something. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. I am not done. If I listened to polls, I would not have run for my first office or my second office, and I certainly wouldn't be sitting here. Somehow there's a poll that has her leading Gavin Newsom and Pete Buttigieg when it comes to running for president of the Democratic nomination. How many more ways does Kamala Harris need to see that the Democratic Party is not into her at all? They don't want her. They're not voting for her. They're not interested in her. They weren't interested in her a year ago. They're not interested in her now. Not by any stretch of the imagination. That is an amazing bit of delusion. You want to talk about just being absolutely devoid of the ravages of thought. The idea that she's actually going to run. That is special. Gavin Newsom has stated that he wants to run. He has stated quite clearly.
You're not afraid?
That's part of his plan. That he'd be lying if he said otherwise.
Moment, and that's the question for the American people.
Is it fair to say after the 2026 midterms, you're going to give it serious thought?
Yeah, I'd be lying otherwise. I'd just be lying, and I can't do that.
Governor, you have long said that if you ever run for the White House, you need a compelling why, a reason. Are you moving closer to figuring out your own why and your own decision?
Yeah, Nietzsche said if you have a compelling why, you can endure any how. And so I think the biggest challenge for anyone who runs for any office is people see right through you.
Yes, you're the guy who locked down California and then was eating dinner in French Laundry. You're the guy who let Los Angeles burn and still won't offer building permits to the people of Palisades. You're the guy who continues to lead a state into further and further economic calamity, and you still believe in giving this many dollars to people who are here illegally. You're going to run for president? Guys, I need to announce that I'm putting together an exploratory committee. Anybody can run. There are no rules. And we should be clear. This is the flip side of Donald Trump. I voted for Trump 3 times. That's not my argument. My argument is Trump proved that anybody can do it. Now wait, Tony. Not everybody's like Trump, can self-fund and has that skill set of just being able to punch someone in the face and people are like, wow, that felt terrific. Right? That's a rare one for sure. But in everybody's head, it's like, well, why not me? He kind of made it more, for lack of a better word, common. Maybe he, for some people, made it it seem actually obtainable. That the bar for what is necessary can be morphed and moved amongst ideological sets. This is part of the whole conversation about elites, which, again, this is the fault of the elites, people who are smart, people who are capable, people who create, that we used to put these people on a pedestal. And then they started hating everybody. And now we can't stand these people. But there's something to be said for we should want people running for president who are smart and capable. We want the best of the brightest as our doctor. We should want these things. We don't have it. We don't have it. And it's there's a haunting here because the Democrats are really going to run him. They're really going to run Gavin Newsom, all that baggage, and they're going to run him. And he's running, right? We don't have to question it. Kamala Harris, if she can raise the money, why not? It keeps you in the game. Who knows what could happen? I think that's the way they all do it. And we don't get the best and the brightest in it. It stinks to high heaven. It really does. That is a crazy 1-2 punch. Remind me tomorrow to get into this story over there from Fox about Gen Z. Is Gen Z inspired so by Charlie Kirk that they are moving their way more and more towards religion on college campuses? I have the story. I have some thoughts. Governor Mike Braun scheduled to join us. There is a special session in Indiana where he is governor about redistricting. This has become a national fight. And Gavin Newsom wants to join in the fight, even though he's pushing for redistricting in his own state, because Democrats believe retribution is fine, but the political process is not. Stunning stuff. And let me tell you, Newsom put out a very, very ugly post about the governor, Mike Braun. I will ask him about it. Keep it here. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm Tony Katz. Governor Mike Braun of Indiana is scheduled to be with us. This is Tony Katz Today. Guys, it's happening as we speak. This is Tony. You are on the air, just so you know. There it is. Very, very good. Got to let them know. Governor Braun, good to hear from you. We're back to the radio show in 2 minutes, but we are live with the live streaming audience, which is a lovely group of people. And they're looking forward to hearing from you. So before we get to the radio side, which will be in just a couple of minutes, how eventful have the past 72 hours been? We are certainly here, except here is a long way from the end result, which is a changing of the maps, which is what I want to get into, but we're going to save that for the radio side. Producer Landon, how far out are we? Okay, we've got a couple minutes, sir, so you can just take it easy, because I will ask those questions when we're on the air. But we'll get to the second question that I want to ask while we're here on the live stream, which is was there any consideration from you about what happens if this doesn't work? Governor Mike Braun, governor of Indiana. Stay right there. We're back to the show in about 30 seconds, and we'll continue this conversation about redistricting, the possibilities, the pitfalls, and then some of the responses, including from fellow Governor Gavin Newsom. We will get into all of that. Governor Mike Braun on the line with us. Appreciate him being here. Glad you are all here watching in the chat room and being a part of this. We're coming back to the show right now. Governor Mike Braun will today sign a proclamation calling a special legislative session for the General Assembly to convene on Monday, November 3rd, 2025, to consider altering the boundaries of Indiana's congressional districts and to consider resolving an important issue regarding federal and state tax compliance that must be addressed. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. We'll leave the tax compliance to the side. Governor Mike Braun, governor of the state of Indiana, joins us right now. The redistricting conversation, the push from J.D. Vance, the vice president in the state of Indiana twice, the call from President Trump. You had the Senate Republicans in the General Assembly in Indiana saying they don't have the votes. Yet you've called for the special session. Give me the elevator pitch. What made you decide that you must believe that the votes are there? What made you decide now is the time? Well, let me jump in because it's very possible you've called the special session, but it doesn't guarantee the vote. That much is true. What other states have done, this all seems to germinate out of Texas making the change, and then California saying that we're going to engage in retribution. If Texas had never moved, would Indiana have moved? Talking to Governor Mike Braun, the governor of Indiana. A lot of statements from the Indiana Republicans in the Senate saying they don't have the votes, which I always thought was an interesting way for them to talk about things. It seemed like they were trying to engage a pressure campaign on Republicans in the Indiana Senate to go forward with this. What does your internal whip count say? Do you have the votes on redistricting? Indiana Democrats have come out to say you're afraid of the issues. You're losing on healthcare. You're losing on education. You're just losing everywhere, Governor Braun. How do you respond to that?
You can't be behind the issues that their federal party endorses. Their national party is off. Actually, want to do more of that. That's not going to sell in Indiana.
Talking to Governor Mike Braun of Indiana. Allow me, well, I've got a couple minutes. The conversation has been fierce on redistricting and nasty on redistricting. I'm going to share with you a post from Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, responding to your post, your statement that I just read about the special session on redistricting and the federal and state tax issue. Here, I share it as he wrote it, sir. I've got a minute. Looks like Governor Braun needs some knee pads. He's making a very gross conversation here that you're just doing the White House's bidding and you're just providing them favors. A response to Governor Newsom?
I would say he is trying to stage himself for a failed effort to run for president. And of course, he's got to say it because he's running the most dysfunctional state in the country. And he'll lose congressional districts most likely in the 2030 census because people are leaving his state in mass numbers. They're moving to places that don't run like that. Likewise, New Yorkers, many of them are moving to Florida. And when I looked at the net migration into a state, Indiana, I think, was the only one in the northern half of the country that had people moving into it. And that's the benefit of Pritzker and our neighbor to the west. So I think that's the response I'd give, and I'd like to hear his response to why people are moving out of his state.
Didn't even get a bless your heart. Why you took the high ground there, sir. Governor Mike Braun, I appreciate you taking the time. November 3rd is when you want it to convene in 5 seconds. Will it convene on the 3rd?
I think it will, and I think there'll be a lot of reinforcement for it, for senators that are still not sure what to do. They need to listen to this. They need to listen to what has been going on in other states by Democrats over a long period of time, and I think they'll get in the right place.
Governor Mike Braun of Indiana, I appreciate you taking the time to be with us. More to get to. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Wow, I will correct that. I will get that connected to the video, and we will get that out for everybody. It was weird. That was weird that you guys didn't get the audio for the first part of that. I apologize. But we will get that out to everybody. We will make that happen. If not sooner. I will get that going to everybody. Landon, you'll need to send me that audio immediately. Right there. So we'll get that done. So I apologize to everyone on that. That stinks to high heaven. That is not groovy. I will get it done. I will get it done immediately, and I'll have it out to everybody in a matter of moments. I appreciate you guys being here. The end result of Governor Braun's statement is you take a look at these other states, these Democratic states, they've all been gerrymandered to heck. They've all been maneuvered to create advantages for them and not be fair for the people. And so one must fight the way one must fight, right? That is the argument that the governor was making right there. He also said that when it comes to where the Republicans are with the vote, he says they're close. He admits that this is a risk, right? We're not 100% sure how this is all going to come together, how this is all going to work out. It is indeed a risk, but a risk that he feels is worth it and will work out. I'm going to get this audio out to everybody immediately. 1,000%. Sorry about that. I don't know why that happened. These things do happen. I'll get it fixed. I appreciate you guys being here. We still have more radio to do. That's at WIBC.com. You want to check that out. And then look for on YouTube, and I'll have it out on Twitter. Everything connected and there, and the audio of everything that he said. I appreciate you guys. Can't thank you enough. And I'll catch you tomorrow. Take care.